Hello, everybody. Welcome to our show today. I'm immigration lawyer John Kasravi, coming to you live from Los Angeles, California, and answering questions about U.S. immigration law. A very controversial and constantly fast-moving target of law changes. We come live every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, on Instagram, the JQK Law Firm page, TikTok, Immigration Lawyer John, YouTube, and LinkedIn to take your questions. They're educational purposes only, not intended as individual legal guidance to get an understanding of what in the world's going on currently. Now, we don't handle asylum cases, we don't handle deportation cases, so I don't like to advise on things I don't do, but there's a lot of family cases, marriage, for example, people going through adjustment of status, consular processing, people starting small businesses, L1, E2 visas. We could talk about that to give you a better idea what the situation is. And there's always a bunch of curveballs and things we don't expect that pop up that we try to answer. So you have a better understanding again about how the system works in general, but we can't provide individual legal guidance because for that we need to really dig in deep and get more information from you. But just shoot out your questions wherever you're watching this, and we'll get it started. Been doing this show for 6 years now. And, the COVID pandemic was a godsend in that sense. It got me started and really happy to continue. We have our first question. I am in Quinny asks, does the ban impact visas issued before January 1st and 21st travel restrictions? Well, there's a new ban they issued for 75 additional countries. And I haven't read the cable. There was a Department of State cable that came out. But from what my colleagues told me, if your visa had already been issued and it's in your passport, you can use it. But if it had not been issued, you would be subject to that new immigrant visa ban. An immigrant visa is a green card visa kind of thing where once you enter the U.S., you get the green card issued. So it's if the embassy issues a visa for a green card. Again, a non-immigrant visa is if you're coming temporarily for work, or tourist visa or student visa. And based on what I recall, my colleague told me that ban doesn't apply to if your visa had already been issued, but I haven't had a chance to read it for myself yet. All right. So please feel free to shoot out your questions. It's been a long couple of days for me. I'm just, I'm trying to recap. So much demand for people having questions in our office, constantly contacting us and trying to help people. So many things are happening. It's really busy. And the administration does stuff like this. It's just nonstop conversations, consultations, questions from existing clients, new clients. So it is pretty overwhelming, but I wanted to make sure I do our regular Tuesday chat, so feel free to ask your questions here. If you wanted to schedule a private consultation, go to our website. We have a separate website. It's called Marriage Immigration Law. And download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Again, the website is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And if you're interested in citizenship, there's a guide we have called the Ultimate Naturalization Guide. It's at jqqlaw.com/citizenship. That's jqqlaw.com/citizenship for the Ultimate Naturalization Citizenship Guide. The first guide for marriage and green cards fiance holders is called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. That's at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And I have a mosquito flying around me. Hopefully I'll get a chance to kill it in the middle of the show because I hate mosquitoes. And it's middle of winter. Why are the mosquitoes in winter? What's going on? Although if you're in Los Angeles, and it might get people jealous, we already have plants blooming January 20th. It's plants are blooming like it's spring right now. So it's a different place over here in Los Angeles. And asks, marrying a U.S. citizen should not be on pause adjustment of status, right? Well, it will be on pause if the person falls within one of the countries. The foreign national spouse is one of the countries that are subject to the ban memo that goes into it. For example, Iranian cases, if you're a foreign spouse who's getting adjustment of status is Iranian, that will be subject to a pause. There's been some speculation that if the U.S. citizen, for example, your citizen spouse was originally from one of the countries, they may pause it too. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. One person said it may have, one attorney that spoke with, but unfortunately that pause does apply to U.S. cases as well, like adjustment of status, the process of applying for a green card in the U.S. Lee asks, why would an embassy be taking so long to give a passport back after requested it? Unfortunately, that does happen a lot of times. They contact you and say, give us your passport, we're going to issue a visa. And then 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks go by. I haven't found a good reason why they do that. It's just very obnoxious and very costly for a lot of people. But unfortunately, that does happen. It's not as often, but I've had it happen enough times where it's just excruciatingly painful thing to go through. And joins hello to you as well. Mindy asks, hi, DS260 has wrong since date for current address. Date was before I even came to the United States. Is that a problem? You should update it. Wrong since date for current address. A date was before I came to States. So that could be a problematic, Mindy, because that's way off. So there's no way to fix it, unfortunately. until you go to your interview. So maybe you could email the embassy just so you're on record correcting it, but then explain it to them at the interview so it kind of fixes it up. But it goes into individual legal guidance because your case might have nuanced issues where it affects things differently. So that's just general guidance, not intended for your specific case. I'd recommend having a consultation to figure out, talk about why that such a big mistake happened in the first place and how we can figure out and explain it so it doesn't become a bigger problem later, them accusing you of lying about something. And says Haiti. I think Haiti is like Iran on that ban too. I can't remember exactly right now. So Ann says, so it's on pause. Now, if I'm a U.S. citizen and marrying Haitian, did I hear you right? Yeah, I think Haiti is on the same pause that Iran is on. And if that's the case, that their application adjustment status will be on pause. And we don't really know what's going to happen after that. Nell asks, can a person sue to get their EAD card if from one of the countries on the pause? They can sue. I'm not sure what's going to happen. And there are people who are suing right now. There's a big group lawsuit happening. You should check that out. But what's going to happen? Are they going to give it, not give it, and stuff? This is all up in the air. We're dealing with the new circumstances. It's really never been done before for the president to do these country-specific bans all of a sudden. In the modern era of immigration after World War II, this is all new stuff that's never happened before. AAA asks, I just sent the paperwork for status adjustment from Visa U. Do you know what's the time frame? No, it could be years, maybe 10 years. Lauren says, what about a K-1 visa? What about it, Lauren? You can download our guide called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. The website is marriageimmigrationlaw.com, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. But with regards to what about it, you got to be more specific what you're asking so I could give a more pointed answer. It says, sir, what is the time process for I-485 asylum granted 1-year adjustment of status? Those may be on pause because of the Trump administration. I don't know if they'll move that forward. Well, the timeline could be 3 months. It could be 4 years. It's all over the place. Lauren says, are the K-1 visas affected with the ban? So there's a new ban. Again, I talked about earlier about 75 more countries being added to the immigrant visa ban. K-1 visas themselves are not immigrant visas. So on the face of it, it would not apply. And one of my colleagues said they had a case from Nigeria approved on K-1. Having said that, they treat K-1s like their marriage green card. So it's possible that they ban it. So we have to see how it plays. Each embassy is probably going to do it differently, and it's still not clear how it's going to happen, how they're going to work it out. Crystal says, can I get a U visa if I call the police but didn't press charges? The thing about U visa is you have to go to the police and fill out some paperwork to show you're cooperating with them. That's what it is. Whether you press charges or not, I'm not a U visa expert office. I do one every 10 years if the existing client really needs it. So I don't know all the nuances, something like that. But in the case I had, they just told the police if they want, they could talk with them about it. They didn't go into pressing charges and stuff. So that's something I don't know off the top of my head because I'm not a U visa attorney, really. Mandy says, do birth certificates need to be recent? Would a birth certificate order from 1999 still be valid? So the birth certificate, actually, the more recent is, the worse it is. You want a birth certificate that was registered as soon after your birth. Now, when it was printed and stuff, it doesn't matter. It's about registration date. It's important. I'd have to review your individual birth certificate compared to a country requirement to see what's going on there. Kisses asks, would the ban list affect the EB3 applicants, like improving the time? It could if they don't, do green card interviews for other people. It opens up more spots for those people. It says, any estimated time how long the pause will take? No, that's really up to the president and the government's determination. So that's an impossible question to answer. Yeah, we're getting a lot of this question, how long these things will take. It's not something that's like fixed, as I said. It's however long they want. It could be forever, frankly. It's as wide as it goes. When it comes to immigration and timelines, there's never any timelines that are reliable. It could take endless amount of time because immigration is a benefit too. It's not like you have a right to it. So you can always sue and stuff, but it's harder and harder to get lawsuits won, although there are people suing on this stuff. Katie asks, if I want to bring my half-brother, 8 years old, to the U.S., what's the best visa for that situation? Well, your half-brother, if he's not subject to a travel ban, could apply for a tourist visa to come and visit. But if you want to get him a green card, your parents have to have been married before you reach the age of 18. And it's going to take 15 years or more probably for him to come on a green card. So he's going to have to come for a visit, tourist visa, maybe get a student visa to go to school here, something like that. Maybe his parents have status and they can apply for him. That'll take some time still as well. But it really just depends on the facts and the situation. Minnie says, say residency is approved when coming back to U.S. does CBP check phones for past work? I mean, they can. It's not, probably not, but it's not impossible. Kisses says, do you have any news on DACA or other immigration reform? There's been no updates on that. About adoption, sir, so I'm not an expert on adoption immigration, but for adoption, people contact me a lot about that. You really have to have like both parents passed away. You can't get around the immigration system by just adopting somebody so you can do the green card case. It has to be really extreme situations. But I'm not an adoption immigration attorney, so I don't want to talk more about that. Anthony says, "Will I have any issues being admitted to the U.S. with my immigrant visa? I'm from one of the 75 countries." Well, if it's already been issued, probably not, but I have to read the memo on it or the leaked cable on it. But if it hasn't been printed yet, they probably have problems. Spoiled asks, I filed my fiance's K1 visa since May 2025. Will it still process normally? I don't know if there's any unique issues with your kind of case, but May 2025 is January 2026, I don't know, 6-7 months, however much time that is, 8 months. It's normal time for nothing's changed, but I don't know all the details of your case to see if it's normal or if issues exist. Rising 454 asks, do these days Iranian European dual citizens with NIW cases get placed in AP, still get cleared, or are they effectively stuck in administrative processing? They've always been stuck in administrative processing, so it's just luck. Maybe yes, maybe no. We have to see what happens. But technically, because you're dual national, you are subject to an exception to the travel ban. But whether you get stuck with administrative processing or not, it's about them, what they want to do. Spoiled says, still, it's this case, the K1, I-129F cases with USCIS received. Yeah, that's normal. You just got to wait and see what happens there. But I don't know your case, so I can't say it's normal because it might have mistakes in there. Nat says, I submitted our petition on March 7, 2024, I-130 and I-45. No response yet. Is that normal? We got an EAD. No, at that point, that's just the case almost 2 years pending. That's abnormal unless it's a marriage to a green card holder or something like that. It depends on what kind of case it is, but I need more details. But if you're married to a U.S. citizen, that's abnormal. If you're married to a green card holder, it's not abnormal. But if it's a different kind of case, I'm not sure what the kind of case it would be. And Gozi says, good night. How long does it take to get a work permit through VAWA if work permit is expedited? If it was expedited, immediately. But how long it takes, it varies so dramatically. I don't have a time frame. Does immigration law have a lot of money? It depends on how successful you are. Kenya says financially successful you are. Kenya says, Mom here, is it completely impossible now? No, not necessarily. It depends on your facts and stuff like that. Katie says, do you do consultation through the phone call? I only do video consultations, but I wouldn't consult on an adoption case. And I'm not sure if I would have a solution for your case, KT, but you can schedule a time. Go to jqqlaw.com/contact, jqqlaw.com/contact to schedule a consultation. And we'll set up a video time. There are fees do apply, but you go through our website and we'll reply to you there about that. But just talk. We'll do. The important thing I want to mention is we do it by video. So there's a lot of people acting like they're me or my firm, and they do phone or WhatsApp consultations to steal people's money. That's not me. I always do video consultations so you can see me. With the AI nowadays, probably people can take this image and fake the consultations even. But from the way I talk from these videos, especially if you see me, you'll probably pretty easily be able to tell it's me or not because of my mannerisms. It's me says, I have an immigrant visa. My passport just happened to party for USA. It's probably okay. I haven't read the memo on it, but you're probably okay. Nat says, married to U.S. citizen. Can you help? Please let me know. I schedule a consultation first, Nat, so I can see what's going on with your case, and we could take it from there. Potentially need to do a lawsuit. We don't do lawsuits, but it's always good to talk with somebody so we see what's going on first, and they could guide you in the right direction. Minnie says, what are the reasons why people with approved I-601A still get denied? So the I-601A is if you enter the United States and you have an unlawful presence, you have illegal time essentially in the United States. If you get married to a U.S. citizen, for example, you still have to leave the U.S. to get a green card. And when you leave, you're going to get banned for 10 years, 3 to 10 years. And what you could do is get this I-601A waiver approved, and that'll help you overcome the overstay or a lawful stay that you're here. Now, what happens is if people go to their embassy interview and they get refused, not denied. The refused means you're also able to fix the error that exists in your case, but you need to do some extra work. If that happens, then it's a nightmare because it cancels the I-601A and you have to do a new waiver, which means another 2 to 4 years and a bunch of money. So it's like a nightmare. The reasons we see this happen for people, one is for Mexico, for example, they accuse them of alien smuggling. They might have brought their children, brother or sister, or nephews with them to the U.S., and they accuse them of smuggling, or they accuse them of doing some sort of fraud or misrepresentation in the past, which will need its own waiver. That'll kick you out. Or a mistake recently a colleague had was they said the financial documents weren't good, the affidavit support, and they made a mistake. So they refused the case. They sent us a joint sponsor. They contacted the embassy and clarified that they were correct. The embassy was wrong. And they go, sorry, but we still voided your 601A waiver. Sorry, go spend 2 to 4 years and spend thousands of dollars and wait it out. It's a complete nightmare. So that's why It's just a complete nightmare. It's so terrible. They do this kind of stuff to people. We as immigration says, hi, the visa bulletin will still be moving with the visa pause for 75 countries. Yeah, visa bulletin is separate from the travel ban. Galmary says, I owe 10 parking tickets and tolls. Should I apply for naturalization or wait till I pay? You need to schedule a consultation talking about that. But the fact that you owe these tickets, you need to, first of all, take care of it. But it could be a sign of bad moral character that you got so many tickets and you haven't paid. So you need to talk to the immigration attorney to really analyze your case. But you know, it might not be a good case. It's 10 parking tickets. I mean, what are you doing? Like, it's kind of ridiculous. What's going on? Kenya asks, I stare the question above. If this country is on the visa ban, is it possible to get someone here? I mean, is it possible? There might be exceptions to it. I don't know. I got to talk with you to learn about the details, but it might not be. I don't know. Until I sit and talk with people, learn all the details. There are always exceptions. I mean, not always. There's exceptions that exist. So without knowing your case, I can't tell whether you one of the exceptions. So I can't give a blanket question answer. It's like, no, it's not possible. You know, it's not fair. Fari says, is marriage cases from Afghanistan banned for U.S. citizens? Okay, so if you're a U.S. citizen, you marry someone from Afghanistan, you probably, it's on the travel ban. Who knows, in the future, it might work out. And getting to the point where it's going to the travel ban will cause problems will probably take 2 or 3 years anyway. So you might as well, if you are married or you're going to get married, you have no choice, then it's probably better start the case because, again, it'll take 2 or 3 years for you to get to the point where the ban will actually affect your case. Because you got to, for example, if spouses overseas, you got to file a Form I-130 petition for alien relative. That could take a year, sometimes 2 years to get approved. If you're married to a citizen, if you're married to a green card holder, it could be longer. And then the case moves to the embassy. And then you do the embassy work, and then it might take 6 months or 2 years, 3 years to go to an interview. And so if you're from Pakistan or Nigeria or Kenya or something like that, it also takes 5 or 6 years to get to the interview. By that point, you might have a new president, new situation come up. Kenya's not on the trial ban list, but there's other countries like Uganda or like what's the country I'm working with right now? There's neighboring countries that are on the ban list that go to Kenya for their interviews. And so it might be a ban right now, but by the time you actually get an interview, things might change. And Paul asks, can a green card travel to Mexico and come back? Well, you might need you might need a visa from Mexico. That's a separate matter. And whether you can go, it depends. Like you might be a green card holder, but if you have like arrest history or issues like that, that could prevent you from being re-entered. Or when you try to re-enter, they'll try to deport you as an immigration court. So generally, I can't answer that question. Like, you know, it depends on your background whether you go to Mexico. That's first of all, again, a Mexican visa situation. And secondly, it depends on your background. So for many people, like green card holders can travel to Mexico. Whether you can go, I don't know. We, as immigration says, I entered the U.S. since 2011. I've been expecting parole to the U.S. and to seek asylum. My mom filed for my I-130 under F-2B. My parole expired, but I have asylum pending. Can I still adjust status even though my parole expired? So this is a frequently issue that comes in. If you want to adjust status based on a preference category, like through your mom is a green card holder F2B, you have to be maintaining status to apply for adjustment of status. And you've fallen out of status at this point. Now, you've had a asylum case pending. However, asylum pending is not status. It's just a period of authorized stay, which means you don't accumulate unlawful presence days for this thing called a 3 or 10-year bar, which I spoke about earlier. It gets into a lot of complicated immigration stuff. Now, 99 out of 100 times they will deny your case because they'll say you're out of status. 1% of the time they'll approve it. So they'll say, okay, we consider asylum pending a status, and they'll approve it. Now, they could do that, and there's a lot of people who contact me and say, I still got to approve. And I say, that's fine, but when you file for naturalization, citizenship, they might go back and say, oops, we didn't approve your case properly. Let's reopen it and deny you now or something like that. So it's risky to take that route, but some people do it. But that's the situation. There's inconsistency in adjudication, but most of the time they'll deny the adjustment of status case. Rising 454 says, I've seen reports where Iranian dual nationals or 212F denied immigrant visas, sometimes after verbal approval. Is DOS now applying trial ban to dual citizens? Well, they're not supposed to. There's an exception for dual citizens, but if these mess ups happen, this is people working on cases, and that's the thing. That's why people ask me, like, can I do this? Can I do that? I'm like, we got to see and then go to the end of it because they make mistakes in both different ways. Just like this adjustment of status case, if a gentleman just asked me, sometimes they'll approve by accident or all sorts of directions will go on this stuff. Fiery says, my fiance case was refused from Trump travel ban. Now I have to get married, but can I start the case? Yeah, you can start the case, get married properly, do the I-130. It's probably going to take a year. And then you probably have to go to Pakistan for an interview. It's going to take years to get an interview in Pakistan anyway, so might as well start it. Was says, EU citizen, born Somali, interview done, adjustment of status weeks ago. As the pause affect me? It will affect you in the U.S. if you're doing a green card case. They don't care about dual citizenship. They just look at your background. So we'll see how that actually works out. But it probably affects you. Diva says you can travel a 2-year green card, petition 48 months. Yeah, if you don't have other issues and stuff, you could use that extension notice of your 2-year green card with your expired green card and travel. Jeezy says, my case was closed 2022 and I couldn't file my asylum application. I only recently found out in 2026 that I can open a new CIGIS case, but I'm turning 22 in a month. Do you think it's, I don't handle special immigrant juvenile cases, so I'd recommend as soon as possible schedule a consultation with 2 or 3 attorneys. Don't even bother coming on a live talk show like this. As soon as possible, go and schedule sometimes some lawyers. Nepali asks, can a green card answer your question? Nepali, good night, Chrissy. Farid asks, can I start it from Turkey? Will it be faster? I'm not sure what you mean. Will I start from Turkey? You mean the embassy interview in Turkey? It'll probably close to Pakistan, but you don't really want the case to go too fast anyways. You want Trump administration to end. But, before Trump administration, they said if you're Afghan, you can go to any embassy to do an interview because you're stateless and all the issues that exist. However, when Trump came, he made it where I think you'd only go to Pakistan. But I have to double check what the rules. I don't really handle too many Afghani cases at all. So I don't remember, but I remember they updated it and they say Afghanis have to go to Pakistan, I think, but I have to see what the Department of State update was. So I'd look into that. Look into Google and search for that. For 10 F2B. We have somebody says, yeah, F2B, I think I answered your question. We, West Ham Immigration. I'm not sure I have immigration in your name title, but I think I answered your question. Idris says, if you're among the 75 countries and documents to qualify MVT, thus freeze affects you, yeah. They might do the interview and maybe cancel, then I'm not sure what's going to happen. They're going to deal with it. Niall says, I'm a conditional green card holder and plan on traveling with my U.S. citizen wife. Is it okay to travel? If your background is clean, yeah. I don't know your background. User 31 says, can an H-2B visa person have a baby here without getting visa revoked? Both parents are undocumented. They can be less. If you're undocumented, what do you mean H-2B visa person? I'm not sure what you mean. I think maybe you're saying you came on an H-2B visa and you overstayed. Now you're undocumented having a child. Well, that's the question that the Supreme Court is talking about right now for Trump's birthright citizenship. So right now, the child will get. I can't understand. You're saying the H-2B visa will your H-2B be revoked, but the parents are undocumented. They're saying inconsistent things. I don't understand your question. Nepali says, so what happens after an interview for spouse of U.S. citizen abroad, reject or hold? I don't remember what your question was originally, Nepali, but if you're part of the travel ban stuff, I'm not really sure how they're going to happen. Some people have said they've got refusals, but not denials. Some people have said they got denials. I've yet to see how it plays out. None of my cases I've gone to interview. Wasak says, does the adjustment of status affect EU citizens born in Somalia? Probably will be. Because in the memo they issued, they talk about country of birth and stuff. They don't go by passport, have exception for dual citizens. As far as he says, I got my interview date. Can you tell any information about the ban? Yeah, right now, if you're Iranian, there's a travel ban. So I really wouldn't want an interview date to come up. so I'm not sure how they're going to deal with it. As I said earlier, there's a mixed bag of things I've heard. But I just prefer not getting a refusal or denial and just have the case pending. And so we have yet to see what's going to really happen. Everything's changing so dramatically. I don't really have good guidance on that. I just kind of avoid the interview if I could have. But at this point, you got it scheduled, so I don't know what to do. Mindy says, how does a solid approval case look for IR1 and CRS for green card? I'm not sure what you mean a solid approval case, Mindy. Please be more specific. Nope. Asks, do you think it's a good time for green card holder apply for citizenship? Of course, if you have a good case, there's better time than never. Yeah, I don't. People ask that. I'm like, if you have a good case, there's no bad time. Claudia says, if I file for my scheduled consultation, first of all, download our citizenship guide, jqqlaw.com/citizenship. Let me switch it. Nope. Go to jqqlaw.com/citizenship, download the ultimate naturalization guide, and then schedule a private consultation. Claudia says, if I file for my daughter, she'll be 21 in 10 months. Will they treat the case as under 21? It depends on if you're a U.S. citizen or not, and if you're a green card holder, how long the I-130 petition takes. So it's different factors that come into play there, Claudia. Please schedule a private consultation. I have a video on the Child Status Protection Act, so check that out on YouTube. CSPA and JQK Law, those are search terms. But better just schedule a consultation. We'll talk about it privately. SUSA says, is it to travel to Afghanistan, the green card, sponsor green card? Is it safe to travel to Afghanistan? Well, there's a security safety issue, so that's that. But regardless, if it's immigration, U.S. immigration, is it safe for you to do that or not? I don't know anything about you, S_USA, so I can't advise in that way here. Tadia says, what is an I-130 is already approved and waiting for national visa status in the process? What does that mean? It means they approved your I-130. It's at the National Visa Center, waiting for them to move the case forward. If it's been a long time, contact the National Visa Center on their website and see what's going on. Kyle says, I'm married and they called me interview last year. They requested for medical second time, but still nothing. It's been 3 years for the whole process. I don't know. That's kind of weird. I'd have to sit and talk with you to see what happens, see if I can spot any red flags, Kyle. Go to our website, schedule consultation, jqqlaw.com/contact. Thanapur says, NTA dismissal, I-130 approved, I-485 in process. If I get interview, I'm at risk of being detained. Maybe. It just depends on which office you're going to, frankly. Nate says, Nunc-pro-tunc asylum require an interview. Nunc-pro-tunc, if the government wants it. Usually no, historically, but right now everything's changing. So some of this stuff I can't really rely on experience. It's just whatever's going on right now, and they're making up as they go along. User 3 says, I mean, what if you're here on H-2B visa, got pregnant, had the child, would that get the visa taken away? Not necessarily. What would consider be fraud potentially is if you're pregnant at the visa interview and you didn't tell them and then you came and snuck in. But if you're here, then you got pregnant, that shouldn't affect the visa. Shouldn't. So we'll see. D says, is it okay for a 2-year conditional green card holder child nationally if they have a clean history? Yes, but I don't know anything about your history. KK says, if I travel to Jamaica, my green card, will I be affected? If you have a green card and you have clear background, that's fine, but I don't know your history. SL_U says, my question was clean background, green card sponsored, just try Afghanistan, come back. Yeah, but the thing is, when you say people don't know what their backgrounds are, so for example, I had a case right now that came up where a person's like, oh, I have an easy citizenship case. How much is it? I'm like, well, let me review your case. Like, no, just tell me how much it is. So I'm like, no, we got to talk about it. So we scheduled a consultation. I found out they incorrectly issued the green card. And so if the government finds out she files for citizenship, they're going to deport her. They're going to take her with the green card. So I don't go into too much details about what I'll probably do a video on it that's more vague. But people, if you don't, you probably are clear. I'm not trying to scare you, but I can't rely on someone saying they're clear because they don't know what the rules are and stuff like that. And the government makes mistakes a lot. So if it's clear, to my opinion, it's clear, then yeah, but yeah, you don't have my opinion because I haven't reviewed your case. Rookie says, my brother was charged with gun offense, illegal weapons possession, ended up pleading guilty. He used to have DACA, but doesn't have DACA. So he'll still be able to apply for, illegal felony. Oh my, that's a serious situation. Rookie, your brother needs to contact an attorney, have a conviction record. He shouldn't have pleaded guilty. That's a hardcore situation. That's a very problematic one. Weapons that's a messed up situation. You can still deny him based on bad moral character. So it's not my specialty when people have criminal charges and convictions, but he won't be able to get DACA again for sure. And the green card through marriage is I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Donald says I might go to Minnesota for interview. So that's a terrible place to go for interview right now with all the ICE crackdowns. I'm sorry to say that. So I don't know how they're going to deal with it, unfortunately. Wallflower says, any update? You're welcome, Rookie Tech. Sorry, I had to get bad news. Rising 405 says, is Mandamus lawsuit worth it for EB immigration case of a dual citizen stuck in concert IP for 5 months? No, 5 months is not enough. Wallflower says, any update regarding the pause starting tomorrow? How long will it last? Is it being challenged? It's being challenged. No information. There's no updates on any of those questions. New York says, for U.S. citizen applied for husband in Pakistan, how long will it take? Years. It'll take, getting to Pakistan is hard. So, and then I think Pakistan was probably travel bans. I can't remember. So, it takes, even without bans and pauses, getting the interview takes so long, usually like 2 or 3 years minimum, if not longer. And then you get administrative processing delays too. It's like a mess. So it could easily be 3-4 years. User 3-1 says, okay, thanks. You have to leave the country with the baby after the H-2B extension is up. You have to leave because you don't have status. The baby probably gonna take them with you, so you probably. It's about my parents. I've sponsored them. Okay, they live here, trying to go and come back. So if they have, there's no particular reason I would say it's come back, but if you're coming back, they might accuse them of stuff. What are you doing in Afghanistan? Who were your friends with? This and that. So it's Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the U.S. has made a mess over there, and it created a lot of problems. So, I don't handle a lot of Afghan cases. I recommend contacting an attorney that's probably Afghan. Like I handle a lot of Iranian cases because I'm Iranian background, an Iranian. So like I can answer these questions much better for Iranians, but I don't handle Afghan cases. Although bad, I don't want to ask anybody. I would contact an attorney that does a lot of Afghan cases. They would know like what issues have popped up in that particular situation that to be mindful for. Raul says, IR1, waiting for an interview now. I'm from Visa Pod country. Please chance F1 or B2. 0, I guess. Or F1 or B2. Very, very unlikely. Sorry. Thank you for answering my question. So you're welcome, Thanon Porn. I wish I had a better answer. All right, we're about to end the show. We'll take a couple more questions. Tax, is this safe to travel to the USA on a B1B2, get married, and try just? I can't recommend someone use a tourist visa, which is temporary with the intent to come and file for a green card. That's considered misrepresentation or fraud. So, is it safe? No, committing fraud is not safe. And then if you overstay the visa, and even if your green card case is pending in some place in America, they'll detain you. So it's very scary. Monter, good to see you. As a slam boss, just did my biometrics for my ranch permit earlier today. Congrats. In Detroit and crossing back. Now we bed down for long naps. Saying hello from Canada, U.S. border, Ambassador Bridge. God bless Montero. Keep me posted on how long it takes, but it might take 2-3 years to get that range permit approved. It's crazy. All right, so my throat giving away and coughing means we're done for today. Thank you everyone for joining us. God bless, be safe, and I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.